chapter 8. They talked about again how there was the upheaval and there's misuse. He says it's a constant battle between access and control. And he used an example. They were talking about like transmission lines. They were talking about like telecommunications stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And they were saying how, at first they put them up because they said, oh, look at this. If you put these up, you can talk to your friends. You can talk to anyone. But then it turned into companies taking advantage. And he said NBC. That's right. He was talking about NBC
Yeah.
and how they came in, and they took control of it all. And they pretty much controlled, I guess, the communication. Am I getting the right thing? Is that what he was saying?
He didn't really expand. Like that's where I was annoyed, because I feel like he would tell like this time a lot of 80%ish of stuff. Like he didn't really expand on that very much. But I guess he's just kind of alluding to the fact that there's like a very few corporate giants who are really controlling that medium or that space, and that like they almost want to stifle communication because of that. I feel like he's really just trying to set up his like argument for like stifling communication, and how like people in the past who tried to bring some of these old ideas were stifled. I feel like that's really what the point of it was. More of just like to try to like not even really say it as a fact, but more kind of reinforce other points he was going to make.
So you're saying they're stifling communication. NBC intentionally stifled communication?
Not necessarily, I think, intentional. I mean, maybe mildly, but like a lot of it's just if you're 90% of what the thing is, like if you're 90% of it, even if you're not trying to stifle it, you just do because you're 90%. So who's gonna listen to 10%? So like regardless of whether they're purposely doing it or not, it just happens.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the whole point, you're right. They were setting it up because they were just saying that all these corporations take advantage mostly of our weakness, of human beings' weakness. And what's our biggest weakness, according to this book?
Oh, this one? Well, I mean, they use Exodus or whatever, but it's really just chasing like a high.
Yeah, ecstasy. That's it, man. That's it. That's exactly right. Well, that's what I got from it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Everyone, there's the dopamine, the release of all the chemicals in the brain. And a big thing they were talking about, he said before 2000, we were an informational economy. So I guess, stocks were traded on information. People were just about getting information, and that's what you paid money for, et cetera, et cetera. He said after the dot-com era, we became an emotional economy. And he said that, you go to a Starbucks now and you pay $4 for a cup of coffee that costs like 50 cents. But what are you paying that $4 really for? You're not paying it for the coffee. You're paying it for the atmosphere. You feel comfy and warm, and it's a nice inviting place. The people working behind the counter are nice, and everyone goes there, so you're fitting in, and it's very tribalistic, et cetera, et cetera. You fit in. And that is what he was saying our economy's kind of turned into now. He said people buy stuff that probably shouldn't be worth what people are selling it for, what these companies are selling it for. What are
Yeah.
they really selling? You're selling people happiness and comfort. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's like, I don't know if that's really good, but I mean, it's just monetizing experience. In the past, like it was less experiential. Like there was less experience. It seemed like it was more about like doing your day to day. It wasn't about having all these little experiences throughout the day, because now people are worried about a customer's experience. Like that's an idea. Like whether it's an auto body shop, whether it's a hardware store, department store, whatever, they're caring about the customer's experience when they walk in the door and what that looks like. And that comes through all parts. So I don't know if I necessarily agree or disagree with it. But I would probably almost see the fact that makes it better. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad that Starbucks can charge you $5 for a cup of coffee. I mean, because to people, that's a good price. Like to a lot of people, they look at that as being great, because then they don't have to, like, there are people out there who feel like buying a coffee maker, buying coffee, buying creamer, buying sugar is way more than just buying a cup of coffee every day.
Well, it is more. You got to pay more for all that extra stuff, don't you?
But yeah, it's upfront cost. But if you're spending $5 a day on coffee, you're spending over $1,000 a year annually. Um,
Good thing I don't drink coffee. Just my chamomile and
yeah.
Benedict, which was a bad combination the last time we talked. I don't know. You were
I
super
drink
high.
my coffee at home.
You were
Coffee at home. 200 cups of. People don't know about this. There's a famous 20-cent iced coffee, but the true hot coffee for 5 cents. 5-cent hot coffee. You just literally, it's 200 cups for like $6. Great. Put some
well.
water in it. Put in the coffee maker. A little bit of salt. That's the secret. A little bit of salt.
So
Good to go.
so let's get back to what you were saying. So you're saying they're focused on the customer's experience. What is it about the experience? I mean, what would make them want to focus on that?
Because you're trying to add intangible value. That's it. Because if things were perfectly, I mean, I just almost take it back to like an economic standpoint. I mean, if things are perfectly equal, people will make rational decisions. So, and all this marketing and all these things we're doing, we're trying to have people make irrational decisions. Because you make a rational decision, you would look at like the features that actually matter and all those things, and then just weigh those, and then you just go with the cheapest option. But nowadays, it's really about the intangible. A cup of coffee is a cup of coffee. Starbucks coffee is not necessarily any better than another cup of coffee, but it's the feeling, it's the brand, it's all this other stuff that adds value that is intangible, and that's what they spend money on. And that's what that's what we were talking about earlier about just this in general. It's like branding is so important because branding is what adds value. If you just have a brand, it cannot be a profitable business, but it's worth something because of the brand.
That's right. They were talking about brands. They were talking about how Lamborghini. I can't remember who he said studied it. We must be really good at analyzing these books because most of the time we say, I can't remember this guy's name. I can't remember this guy. We remember the important things, and that's what matters. The overarching.
We'll just have to sit there for like literally like we just have to read it like twice and sit and like read it once through and then sit there the next time and every 2 seconds to stop. Just take notes.
Hey, you know what? We're doing audiobooks. That's tough. To retain this information listening to an audiobook, driving to work, that's tough. But hey, we analyze it. I write all my notes. It's definitely when I should be working, but
I do it when I'm home.
But yeah, what was I saying?
I know, so you're multitasking.
They were saying that someone had done a study and they found that in the brain, whatever part of the brain lights up for religious experiences also lit up and also had a similar function to when you see brands, when you see branding. And he said, that's not necessarily saying that a brand is insinuating a religious experience. It's not like someone going to a shopping mall is a religious experience, but they were saying that it was very similar. In, I don't know, you go ahead, I'll give my thoughts. What are your thoughts on them saying that?
Well, I think I feel like really like they say religion, really what they're saying is a sense of community because that's what brands are supposed to be doing. Because the reason why you're getting these feelings of religion is because you associate yourself with those people. You feel closer to them because of your assumed similarities because of the religion. If you see someone with a little cross on their chest or whatever, you're like, all right, I know a little bit about them. I kind of trust them. They're part of my group. The same thing is true with effective branding, like extremely effective branding. You can see someone wearing a jacket, some clothes, cutting their hair a certain way, doing whatever, and then it just causes these feelings, and you just, oh, I understand that person. Oh, they get what I do. Oh, they're in the same kind of whatever that I'm in. And if done right, I feel like when I hear that, I more think of just like that sense of community. Because a good brand is supposed to create a community. If you kind of see some of these people on YouTube and some of these different brands always have our community, our thing, the squad, this, they're trying to create this community around the garment or the product.
So what is it about the community that's so strong?
Because people want to be a part of something.
But why? Why does someone want to be a part of something?
I think I don't know, like we're partially just like communal creatures. I think there's some of that. I think there's a great feeling of just feeling like you're bigger than yourself. And then also it's like There's something about being able to attach yourself to someone else's goal, like accomplishments. When you say football, there's people that just, they don't have a good job, they don't have a good life, whatever, but their escape is football. And they are tied to their team. They are diehard. Every touchdown is their touchdown, every sack's their sack, everything. And for them, that's the most important thing. And that's really just a big driver. Damn it, where was I going with this?
Well, you want to be a part of
Oh,
something.
sense of community. Yeah, so sense of community. So yeah, so that makes them part of that community, and that gives them value. Whereas like it can be very hard to just be alone and just you and say it's just me, and I make it solely on the merit of myself and me, outside of these other things that are connected to other things. It's like there's people that get excited about Nike doing this deal or having these athletes and all this stuff because they have Nike shoes. What the hell does that have to do with Nike? You bought their product. You are not associated with Nike.
Well, because
you paid for the product.
Because people like the athletes.
No, I know there's that, but I'm saying that Nike's so good. You gave them money, and now you feel like you're a part of them by giving them money.
And so what is it about being a part of something that draws people to, I mean, what makes someone want to be a part of something?
I think people just don't like being lonely. I think there's a certain amount of that. It's like feeling the presence, or a purpose. It's just like people want to be accepted. So if you feel like you're a part of something, whether you are or not, like that's a feeling of acceptance.
So what this book has said multiple times, especially in The Rise of Superman, when they talk about group flow, they say that when you're part of a community, when you're part of a group, your brain, you kind of step out from yourself. And we were talking about this in the very first, actually it would have been the second interview, the first one we didn't record. But the second one, when you brought up Hitler and they were talking about community and how he got the German people so excited, and he said it was kind of a double-edged sword. The community is a double-edged sword because on the one hand, when you feel like you're part of something, you're happy. The emotions that come out are happiness, belonging, love, acceptance. And that's what everyone wants. That's what everyone ultimately wants, is understanding and acceptance. But again, like I said, it's a double-edged sword because while that happens, if you give too much into the community, you lose a part of yourself. And in terms of these businesses, the part of yourself that you lose is your money, because you're paying $160 for a pair of shoes that probably costs, I don't know, what, like $30, maybe at the most. Or you're paying $4 for a 50-cent cup of coffee at Starbucks because you're part of this community. And while you feel happy and you feel loved and accepted, you're also losing your tangible value in your money. And that's the thing. What's more important to people? Their money and I mean, I have my personal thoughts on money. I think that money leads to financial freedom. Financial freedom is true freedom, because if you don't have that true freedom, you don't have that financial freedom, then people are just going to tell you what to do for your whole life. That's why people get stuck in the rat race. That's why people are always paying bill to bill, or they're living bill to bill. Excuse me. I mean, that's the thing. And so maybe if you were to step out a little bit and say, hey, you know what, I could have a coffee. Maybe it's not going to be as good as Starbucks, but it does the same job, and I can make it at home for this investment of maybe $70, or I know your coffee machine's cheaper, for a coffee machine. And
I see how it is. Yeah. That's because I'm brown. I got a cheap coffee maker. That's okay.
What I was saying.
It's okay.
No, you were
did I not show you? It's a Yeti coffee. Do I need to grab and show you? I'm gonna grab and show you my coffee.
Grab and show me the price, because you were bragging about how cheap it was, and that's why I brought it up. But